How's everyone doing today? It's your boy JJ Domination, and today we are back with my 2020 NFL Mock Draft 4.0. This is going to be not my last mock draft, but it's going to be the last mock draft that I have that includes trades. My last mock draft did really good. It ended up exceeding my previously highest viewed video on YouTube. I think it just has to do with the search algorithm or whatever. I'm hoping this one does pretty good too. If I don't replicate the views, it's okay, man. I just want people out there to see it and actually, enjoy it. Maybe give some feedback on what they think their favorite team will do. When you're doing a mock draft with trades, it's a big 32-piece puzzle. It's kind of hard, to do these, but we know trades are going to go down on draft night. I mean, there hasn't been a first round, at least in my lifetime, that didn't have at least one trade in it. So, or at least like a trade or movement prior to the draft. So, you kind of have to take the good with the bad there. I'll try to do the best that I can. I'm very excited about the trades that I have. Hopefully you guys that watch this will be able to understand from my point of view why I made some of these trades. Some of them could be just ones that I made up. Some can be others that I saw elsewhere, but I wanted to adjust the value in the trades. So hopefully you guys just understand where I'm coming from with those. We'll just go ahead and hop right into it right here, though, with Cincinnati. We're going to have them taking quarterback Joe Burrow out of LSU. This is a no-brainer. He's the most pro-ready quarterback since Andrew Luck that has come out of the draft. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback since Andrew Luck to come out of the draft. I think those are two different things. But with Joe Burrow, there's not really a glaring weakness in his game. I think the question is how great or how very good can he be in the NFL? And that I'm not 100% sure. I think it all depends on what you put around him, the weapons, the offensive line, because you got to keep the dude upright. You have to give him complementary weapons. And if A.J. Green does play this year, then you got A.J. Green, John Ross, who's a speedster, who they're hoping they can get something out of in his fourth season. You have Tyler Boyd, who's a pretty damn good slot receiver, doesn't get talked about enough. Joe Mixon, who's one of the top 10 running backs in football. And you got Jonah Williams, who's coming back at left tackle. So essentially you have 2 first-round picks in this year's draft. And I think getting Joe Burrow right here, you're getting your franchise quarterback. I'm not sure how great he is going to be in the future, but you got to be confident in what you're getting right here, and it's really up to the organization to see how great they can elevate him to be based on what's around him, the coaching, the situation, what the defense does on the other side. I think you got to be excited if you're a Bengals fan to get your new face of the franchise. At number 2 overall, we're going to give the Washington Redskins Chase Young, edge rusher out of Ohio State. Another no-brainer pick right here. It's basically like last year with Kyler Murray and Nick Bosa. If you follow up the draft process, you've been hearing everything. I know a lot of it is smoke screens, but these are the 2 no-brainer things, in my opinion, that's going to happen on draft night. Just like last year, Kyler Murray and Nick Bosa. This year, it's Joe Burrow and Chase Young. And Chase Young, it's not necessarily a need. Edge rusher, I wouldn't say is a need on this team. You have Ryan Kerrigan, who's an edge rusher. You have Montez Sweat as your other edge rusher, who you traded up for last year towards the tail end of the first round. Getting Chase Young here, he's going to come in and play right away. He'll probably rotate in with Sweat and Kerrigan at times. Maybe there's a package where all 3 of them are on the field. And he's kind of the now and the future. Kerrigan, I think, has 1 year left on his contract. You could look to re-sign him. Maybe you let him go, get a compensatory pick for him. But Chase Young and Montez Sweat, if they can develop into a nasty duo moving forward, then Washington's got themselves a hell of a front. Especially with Matt Ioannidis, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and then, of course, the linebacking core. If Reuben Foster can, just stay healthy and kind of get his act together, you got a nice middle linebacker right there. This front 7 could be nasty, man. It's got the potential to be one of the better fronts, not named San Francisco, in the NFC and probably in the NFL. I think you got to love the pick right here for Washington. And right here at number 3 overall, we have a trade. We're going to have the Los Angeles Chargers trading up from the number 6th overall spot to the number 3 overall spot with the Detroit Lions. So in order for the Chargers to move up 3 spots, they're going to be giving up that 6th overall pick. They're going to be giving up a 2020 second round pick, which will be pick 37 overall. They're going to be giving up their 2020 fourth round pick and their 2021 second round pick. And with the third overall selection, the Los Angeles Chargers select quarterback Tua Tagovailoa out of Alabama. So what went into this trade? Basically, I took a trade that happened in 2018 between the New York Jets and the Indianapolis Colts, because the New York Jets, if you remember, had the 6th overall pick. They traded up 3 spots. They gave up 3 second-round picks. So while Detroit still comes away with a good haul because they're going to move down 3 spots, they're gaining 2 second-round picks, and they're going to get that 4th round pick, it's not as big of a haul as what the Jets essentially made for Sam Darnold. And this team right here with the Chargers, selecting Tua accomplishes 2 things, especially medically if he does check out, which of course his agents and himself and his team is saying he's good to go 100%. We'll see. I mean, people lie all the time. I know Tua is a man of faith and religion, so I'm not going to question him whether or not he's lying, but this accomplishes 2 things. Number one, if you think he is ready to play now, then obviously you got yourself a hell of a quarterback prospect. Arguably, I mean, if he were healthy, who knows? Maybe he's viewed as the best quarterback prospect in the class. And if he's not ready to play, well, this is a franchise who, from everything we've been hearing, could be smoked, could not. But they feel comfortable with Tyrod Taylor as the starter. And we've seen Tyrod Taylor in 2017 play well enough to get the Buffalo Bills to the playoffs. And I think the Chargers, with their roster as stacked as they are, as talented as they are, if they can just stay healthy, I think Tyrod Taylor will do enough to get this team at least in contention for the playoffs. I don't know if they get over the hump or not. That AFC, at the top is pretty stacked, but even in that middle tier, like, they're competing with a lot of teams. But with Tua, this accomplishes a lot of things. Number one, he's got a huge following. Number two, obviously, him being a Hawaiian quarterback, you're getting a whole new fan base from the United States, obviously, but you're getting a whole, nationality, like Hawaiians, to be invested into the Chargers. So you're adding more fans, potentially getting butts and seats. Tua Tagovailoa is a quarterback that basically everyone in college football knows. And if you watch the NFL, you obviously know who he is. So that's going to put more eyes on the Chargers. And if he can't play right away, guess what? You have Tyrod Taylor, who is a capable bridge quarterback who got a team to the playoffs before. So it's a win-win to me if you're the Chargers. It's risky because of the injury stuff, but drafting a quarterback in the top 5 is already a risk. I mean, ESPN put out a graphic. Since 1999, only 14 out of 28 quarterbacks selected in the top 5 have a winning record. So it's already a risk drafting a quarterback that high. You better have the pieces around him, though, to be successful, and he's got to do his part. And I think this could be a good marriage. Tua just has to check out medically. The 4th overall pick, we have another trade. The Jaguars are coming up to number 4 overall, and they're going to be giving up the 9th overall pick, a 2020 4th round pick via the Los Angeles Rams, and defensive end / outside linebacker Yannick Ngakoue. And the Giants are going to be relinquishing that 4th overall pick to Jacksonville. And with the 4th overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars in my mock draft will be selecting Isaiah Simmons, linebacker / safety / I can do whatever I feel like doing on the football field player out of Clemson. Isaiah Simmons played the most amount of his snaps at nickel corner. He projects as a linebacker. He works out as a linebacker. Teams view him as a safety. To me, he is the Derwin James of linebackers in this class, and he is a top prospect for a reason. This guy is a beast. He runs faster than most running backs at his size, 6'4", 230 plus pounds. He's got the size to play linebacker, not the reps, because he played all over the place. He's a Swiss Army knife of a player. He's going to be very good for a team. You can play him at safety at times, but really you want him near the line of scrimmage. You want him in the box. You want him playing off the ball. You already paid Joe Schobert 5 years to be your middle linebacker. You'll have Miles Jack there, who I think is a great number 2. He can play number 1, but to me, I like Miles Jack as an off-ball guy. Simmons can be the third linebacker in 4-3 heavy sets. And your nickel packages, he can play box safety, nickel corner. He can play deep if you want him to, because he has the instincts and the range to play deep if you need him to. And for the Giants, they're getting a pretty good haul. Obviously, they're getting Yannick Ngakoue. An edge rusher they desperately need, but we'll talk about that later when I get to the Giants pick. But for the Jaguars, man, listen, they'll still be able to keep the 20th overall pick. And Yannick Ngakoue really values out and projects as a early second to mid, not mid, but like an early second to late first. So essentially, you trade it 2 first-round picks, or maybe an early first, early second, and a 4th to come up 5 spots to get Isaiah Simmons. Love the move for Jacksonville. That would be a hell of a pick if it happened. And at number 5 overall, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock. They just watched Tua go off the board as they played a massive game of chicken with the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers cave in. They traded some assets, and they got Tua. So what are the Dolphins going to do? Are they going to take a quarterback? No. Instead, they'll be taking offensive tackle Jedrick Wills out of Alabama. You can project the quarterback here if you want, but they have 2 quarterbacks, at least one that we know can play. The other, Josh Rosen, hasn't really been given the best hand, in the league so far. I don't think quarterback, unless it's Tua, I don't think it's that big of a need. This team desperately needs offensive line help, especially at the tackle positions. They could use another guard, but they just drafted Michael Dieter in the 3rd round. I think he needs another year. And then Eric Flowers, of course, they just paid 3 years, $30 million, 10 a year. They're loading up on defense, obviously. I think they'll draft a couple of defensive players, as you'll see later. But Jedrick Wills, man, go ahead and get one of the top offensive line prospects in this class to protect your current and your future quarterback. Potentially in next year's draft. Hell, you can draft one in this year's draft. It could be Fitzpatrick, Rosen, whatever. You need offensive tackles badly, and I think getting Jedrick Wills is a good move. Now, he's not my number 1 tackle. I still stand by it being Andrew Thomas. But for the Dolphins, they need a right tackle and a left tackle. To me, I think they'll value Jedrick Wills a little bit higher than the rest. And for that reason, Miami, I'm giving you a tackle at number 5. And at number 6 overall, we have the Detroit Lions. After trading down 3 spots with the Los Angeles Chargers, I have the Detroit Lions going with Jeffrey Okudah, cornerback from Ohio State. To me, this is the pick they would have made at number 3 overall, but why make the pick at 3 when you can trade down to 6, gain 2 additional second-round picks, one this year and one next year, and also get an additional 4th-round pick to help add more talent to this roster on a team where the coach and the GM are on the hot seat? I mean, you're going to draft this player at 3 anyway. Why not just get him at 6 and get more draft capital to help build the team? To me, Matt Patricia's going to view Jeffrey Okudah as his version of Stephon Gilmore, maybe even like a Tre'Davious White, Patrick Peterson type. Those are the names you keep hearing with Jeffrey Okudah. I think he definitely has the chance to be an elite corner. I don't doubt it. He's got great speed. He's sticky in man-to-press coverage. He's obviously disciplined enough to play in zone. Jeffrey Okudah, borderline perfect cornerback prospect, especially for the modern NFL. I don't really have much more to say about that, Detroit. I think you're getting a hell of a player right here at number 6. A guy, in my opinion, you would have got at 3. And at number 7 overall, we have the Carolina Panthers. And right here, I'm going to give them defensive tackle Derek Brown from Auburn. I was trying to look for a trade-up partner with Carolina, so Carolina can trade down, get more picks. I do think offensive line is an underrated need for this team, but I think with the mid rounds, like the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round, I think they can look to add a couple of guys in there. I don't think it's that big of a priority, but it is a sneaky underrated need on that team. But we'll have them go with Derek Brown. They just lost Gerald McCoy and Dontari Poe and Vernon Butler in free agency, all interior defensive linemen. They did bring in Stephen Weatherly, who I think will be a nice piece, decent rotational guy. They still have K1 Short, but K1 Short needs a sidekick, and we're going to give him Derek Brown out of Auburn. Great run stuffer, has the upside to be a pretty solid pass rusher. A lot of people comparing him to Akeem Hicks. I like Akeem Hicks for the Chicago Bears. I actually think he's just as important on defense as Khalil Mack, because to me, he's the engine that keeps that machine going. When he's out, you can tell that defense is missing, that toughness in the trenches. And I think Derek Brown's going to bring that for Carolina. This is a team that has a long rebuild ahead, at least for the next few years, and I think Derek Brown will be a nice start, building some character and building an image for that team in the trenches. At number 8 overall, we have the Arizona Cardinals selecting offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. I've been saying it for a long time. Wirfs can project as an elite guard in the NFL, but I think has an opportunity to be a pretty good tackle right away. And I think with the Cardinals, he can play either, because right now their starting tackles would be DJ Humphries, who they obviously gave a 3-year extension to at left tackle. At right tackle, they brought back Marcus Gilbert for a year. So if you need Wirfs to play right away, no problem. Plug him and play him at right guard, and when Marcus Gilbert retires or isn't brought back the following year by the Cardinals, you can kick him back out to right tackle where he played his college ball, and it's not really that big of a deal. To me, obviously the most athletic offensive lineman in this class. He moves very well, especially in space. So those screens, the Kenyon Drake, those wide receiver screens, they're going to be key for this team, and he's a guy that's going to get out there. He's going to lay some people out. He's going to be able to move with the best of them on offense and on defense. Just a perfect pick right here for Arizona, who has been having a pretty damn good offseason. I would love this pick for Arizona in real life, and I kind of hope it happens for their sake, because they do need to protect their future star quarterback, Kyler Murray. At number 9 overall, we got the New York Football Giants right here. They just traded down with the Jacksonville Jaguars. They also got Yannick Ngakoue, who they're going to give an extension to. That's the whole point for trading for him, is because, Yannick Ngakoue has been wanting out of Jacksonville basically since last year, I guess you can say. And by getting Yannick Ngakoue, you're helping out the edge rush situation. You still need another guy. I mean, Lorenzo Carter's solid. O'Shane Zimenez is solid, but you still need another guy, in my opinion. Yannick Ngakoue would come over, be pretty damn good for this team right here. Obviously, you trade down a few spots, and your consolation prize, your reward for trading down 5 spots, is getting offensive tackle Andrew Thomas out of Georgia. I would have projected you a tackle at number 4 anyway, so why not just trade down, get a guy that I probably would have projected to you that high anyway. I would have definitely considered him or Tristan Wirfs for number 4. Hell, even Jedrick Wills. You're still coming away with a great tackle prospect, one of the 3 best tackle prospects. Andrew Thomas is my number 1. This team needs a tackle. Thomas, more of a left tackle. Maybe you move Nate Soldier to right tackle and he has better luck out there. But this is a team that still needs to shore up that offensive line for Saquon Barkley and Danny Dimes himself, Daniel Jones. And right here, trading down with Jacksonville, collecting Yannick Ngakoue as well, who values out, in my opinion, as a late first, early second. You get to give him that contract extension that he's looking for, and you get a 4th-round pick. Granted, you had to swap 4th-round picks, at least in my scenario, or maybe not. I don't think you really need to swap 4th-round picks in that scenario, but I like the move right here for the Giants. Trade down, still get one of the top 3 tackle prospects. You add Yannick Ngakoue, and you pick up a 4th-round pick along the way. Pretty damn good for the Giants, getting Andrew Thomas out of Georgia. And at number 10 overall, we have ourselves a trade, ladies and gentlemen. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to trade up 11 spots with the Cleveland Browns. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to give up the 21st overall pick in this year's draft. They're also going to give up a 2020 second-round pick, a 2021 second-round pick, and a 2021 4th-round pick. And with the 10th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles will be selecting Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver from Alabama. To me, he is the perfect wide receiver for this offense. Rumor has it they are trying to look to potentially trade or try to get rid of Alshon Jeffrey. Like, I've been reading that in a couple of places as well. Obviously, Deshaun Jackson, you can't really rely on him to stay healthy, unfortunately, even though I do love the fact that he is returning to the Eagles last year, of course. And Nelson Aguilar left. I'm pretty sure, similar to Packer fans with Geronimo Allison, I'm sure they're celebrating that move more than sombering over it. To me, this is a perfect move right here. Getting a receiver who can work basically short, intermediate, and deep. I don't think he's just one of these like prototypical route runners who just create separation and aren't good athletes. Jerry Jeudy is pretty much an everything type of receiver. He can pretty much do everything you want out there. He can be this team's #1 receiver for Philadelphia. He's just a very well-rounded receiver. And that's something Philadelphia needs. The reason I don't have them basically sitting there at 21 overall to select a wide receiver, it's not because like a guy like Justin Jefferson or Denzel Mims wouldn't be good, but you can't bank on those guys being there. What if a team like the Packers trades up with the Raiders to try to snag Justin Jefferson before you or Minnesota, who also might be in the market for a receiver, tries to make that same move? So to me, those are things you got to think about. I'll have them jump the gun over everyone else to get the top receiver prospect and Jerry Jeudy. To me, it's a smart move. I don't think the Eagles really need to use all of their draft picks either. And yes, it might seem like a little bit of a steep price. Again, I don't think they need to use all these draft picks. Trade up, get a guy who you know is going to help your team, and go from there. Philadelphia getting Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver from Alabama. I love the move. At number 11 overall, I have the New York Jets taking Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle from Louisville. I'm not the highest on Mekhi Becton. I think he needs a little bit of work, development, some coaching. He needs to improve as a run blocker, or not as a run block. Yeah, he does need to improve as a run blocker. His pass blocking isn't bad. I just think he needs to know at the next level how to play with his size and his athleticism and just get a better feel for the game. Like all of these guys need to, but I view Mekhi Becton as a project. This team did do a solid job in free agency bringing in replacement level low-end starting linemen like Connor McGovern. They re-signed Alex Lewis. They brought in Greg Van Roten. They still have Brian Winters at guard. They brought in George Fant on a 3-year, $27 million contract. George Fant's basically a swing tackle / big tight end and heavy sets. Mekhi Becton would project as this team's future at the left tackle position, and I'd be pretty excited to see that happen. I mean, you could go with a wide receiver here, but honestly, I think you just need to protect Sam Darnold. You could have went with a wide receiver, but I think getting Mekhi Becton might be more important. Obviously, like, it would have been cool to give this guy CeeDee Lamb or Henry Ruggs, but this wide receiver class is so deep, and this is like the last top tackle prospect. Obviously, there's solid depth in this class, but this is really the last of the top 4 tackle prospects, and if they don't get out of here with one of those 4 guys, I'm not really too sure. Unless they're getting a top receiver, I'm not really too sure what to make of it. And now we got the Las Vegas Raiders right here, and I'm going to just, the same pick. It's literally been the same pick in all my mock drafts. CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver from Oklahoma. Again, the draft is in Vegas. Granted, it's under new regulations because of the self-quarantining and all that. It's going to be virtual, but it's still going to be a big move. It's still going to be a flashy move, and it's one that they definitely have to make, in my opinion. They need another wide receiver. I know they have Hunter Renfrow as their slot guy. They have Tyrell Williams to be their deep threat, contested catch type of guy. They need that explosive wide receiver. They need a guy who's going to open up the field, be great with getting yards after the catch, racking up all the yards. They just need a guy who in the open field knows what the hell he's doing and is an explosive player, and I think CeeDee Lamb's going to offer that for Derek Carr and John Gruden in the Las Vegas Raiders. And at number 13 overall, I have a trade. So the New England Patriots are going to be trading up with the San Francisco 49ers, 10 spots from 23 to 13. The Patriots are going to give up the 23rd overall pick, a 2023 round pick, another 2023 round pick, this one being a compensatory pick, pick 100th overall. They're going to also give up a 2024 round pick and a 2021 fourth round pick to the 49ers for the 13th pick. The reason the Patriots aren't giving up a second is, well, they don't have a second round pick. So kind of a big issue right there. You know, with the 49ers, it's kind of a big issue. They're not going to be able to get a second round pick because the Patriots kind of don't have one. But we're going to have the Patriots trade up 10 spots to get quarterback Justin Herbert out of Oregon. I'm not really sure what the Patriots are going to do. I think if they trade up for a quarterback, it's going to be for either Herbert or Love. I could see them liking Herbert a little bit more. The only thing I don't like about Herbert, the tape is all over the place, and I think he's a little gun-shy as a quarterback. I think if anyone's going to coach it into them to be less conservative and be less gun-shy and to not play like a conservative quarterback, I think the Patriots staff can do that. But also the Patriots are very good at playing to their strengths. And Justin Herbert's got a good arm. He's mobile. He's got the size. His accuracy a little all over the place, but it's not bad. You just gotta, he's got to make those plays, you know, 2-minute drill. He's got to make the plays. 3rd and long, he's got to make the throw. He's got to evade the pressure. You know, he's got to be able to make those plays. And I think Josh McDaniels can do a good job with him. I think Belichick will kind of coach it into him as well. I would like this situation for Herbert. The big thing I've been hearing about him is, if he falls into the right situation, he could be pretty good. But when you're considered a top quarterback prospect, how often do you really fall into the right situation? I mean, not all the time. I mean, again, we talked about top 5 picks at quarterback since 1999. Obviously, Herbert's not going to be a top 5 pick unless Miami just decides to take him. But he'll be like a top 7, top 10 pick. But I think right here to the Patriots, it could be the right move. He has the traits. You just got to coach it out of him on field, on tape. He's got to be more consistent. I don't want to hear about the Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl is a glorified, scripted 7-on-7. And the Combine is just basically a glorified workout. You know, I don't really care. You know, the tape doesn't lie. I'll go based on that. But I would like Herbert's situation in New England a lot better than other places. So, not a bad pick. Alright, and with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we're going to give them wide receiver Henry Ruggs out of Alabama. I mean, it's really a luxury pick because you got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Go get Henry Ruggs. Go get that third receiver. Brashad Perryman left in free agency. Go get a much, much, much better version of him. A speedster, a guy who knows how to play with the speed that he runs at, can catch the ball, run routes. I don't know about the Tyreek Hill comparisons, but he's definitely Will Fuller with an extended route tree. If I had to make a comparison, Ruggs is a pretty exciting player to watch when you look at his film because he can just take those little crossing routes to the house with ease. He can take all the intermediate routes, turn around, shift gears quickly, move in different angles and directions quicker than your average human being, and get to the end zone. To me, Brady, that's not a bad slot option. He's very fast. He's more than just a deep threat. And I think in Tampa Bay, you would see that with Tom Brady and company. I really like this pick. And at number 15 overall, I have the Denver Broncos going with cornerback C.J. Henderson out of Florida. They just lost Chris Harris Jr. I believe they brought in A.J. Boye via trade. But they still need another corner because Bryce Callahan's their slot guy. A.J. Boye is going to probably be their number 1 guy. I think bringing in C.J. Henderson is the right move. He's a good scheme fit for Vic Fangio. He's more of a press corner anyway. That's going to fit in just nicely. Disciplined in zone. Yeah, the tackling does kind of concern you a bit, but as long as he can not get ran over and slow down a player's momentum, I don't really care if he wraps up. Someone else just better be there to clean up. But Henderson, good cornerback prospect. He has the size, the speed, the athleticism, good overall coverage. To me, I think he's just a perfect fit here with Denver, and he could be their cornerback number 2 on the team moving forward. And at number 16 overall, we have the Atlanta Falcons right here, and they're going to be selecting Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle out of South Carolina. Listen, this has been my sales pitch ever since I have mocked Kinlaw back in like Mock Draft 2.0. This has been my sales pitch, okay? Grady Jarrett, Javon Kinlaw, pushing the pocket against all these NFC South quarterbacks that aren't known for their mobility. Enough said. I mean, that is frightening if you're Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Teddy Bridgewater. 3 guys who aren't known for being mobile and evading pressure. Getting that interior pressure in your division is going to be key. Everybody wants to attack from the edge, and that's fine. Edge rush pressure is important. But if you can get that push from the inside, especially if you play in a division where all your quarterbacks can't move that well, that's going to be key. And I think the Falcons should really do what they can. Do the best they can, even if they feel like they got to trade up because they're a little insecure to get Javon Kinlaw. They got to do what they can to get that interior pressure as well. Grady Jarrett can't do it all on his own, even though he's a freaking beast. You got to get him a sidekick, and this would be such a reward for a player like Grady Jarrett. Getting a sidekick like Javon Kinlaw, 6'6", 300+ pounds, upside through the roof. It's a hell of a selection right there for Atlanta. And then at number 17 overall, we got ourselves a trade, ladies and gentlemen. The Minnesota Vikings are going to be trading up from 22 to 17, moving up 5 spots right here. The Vikings are going to give up the 22nd overall pick, a 2020 third round pick, and a 2021 second round pick to move up to 17. And with the 17th overall pick, the Minnesota Vikings are going to go with edge rusher Kayvon Chaisson out of LSU. This team, they did not bring back Everson Griffin. They cut Linval Joseph. They lost Stephen Weatherly. They're going to be in the market to add some defensive linemen. And let's just start right here by getting Kayvon Chaisson to pair up across from former LSU pass rusher Danielle Hunter. Get that LSU duo going with Chaisson and Danielle Hunter. They still have a lot more work to do, but they also do get to keep that 25th overall pick with this trade in the first round, so that's very important to make another selection. Good move for Minnesota. You trade up a few spots. You do give up a future second, which is kind of a big deal. You give up a third round pick this year, but I think you come away filling in a need that you probably wouldn't have been able to at pick 22. And we're back here with the Miami Dolphins at number 18 overall, and we're going to give them defensive end A.J. Epineza from Iowa. I get why he's been slipping. I'll be honest, like, I understand people are caught up with the combine, him not running all that fast. But listen, man, you flip on the tape, he plays faster, the technique is there, the power, the raw power is there. And in a defense with Brian Flores, man, I can see this guy playing 3-4 defensive end, 4-3 defensive end. I can see him doing a little bit of everything. They also paid Shaq Lawson. They have Christian Wilkins and Devon Gottschall there to be their DTs. So if you want to run a heavy set, you can put Shaq Lawson at one end, have Christian Wilkins and Gottschall at DT, put A.J. Epineza on the other end, have Kyle Van Noy as your off-ball linebacker with Jerome Baker, and then you can have Byron Jones, Xavier Howard, and at safety, as you'll figure out later, we'll put a rookie back there with I don't know, who's their free safety? Bobby McCain, right? Yeah, Bobby McCain. He could probably play that nickel role. You could probably put Adrian Colbert back there, who I like. It's like a solid, decent safety depth type of guy. But Epineza right here, pretty good pick, pretty good value pick in my opinion as well. Can't go wrong there. I think he's going to be a solid player. I don't think his ceiling is that high, but he's got a pretty low floor, and that's going to be solid, like, defensive end. At number 19 overall, the Las Vegas Raiders, we're going to give them cornerback Christian Fulton out of LSU. After the Eli Apple deal fell through, this team is definitely going to be in the market for a corner. Obviously, they couldn't get Henderson or Jeffrey Okudah, but they come away with Fulton right here. You can argue who the third best corner in the class is. You can argue it's not even Fulton, but that's just how I have it falling. I'm sure he's going to fall into the high character, winning culture type of vibe because they did win the national championship. This team has Trayvon Mullen, who they drafted last year at corner out of Clemson. They drafted Isaiah Johnson, excuse me, from the University of Houston. They have Demarius Randall, who's like a free safety slash nickel corner. When he was playing nickel corner and free safety, like with the Browns, that's where he played his best football. Even with Green Bay, when he was playing some more safety looks, that's where he played his best. He's not an outside corner. It is what it is. They also have LaMarcus Joyner, who does a little bit of nickel stuff as well and plays some free safety. To me, you get a nice outside corner who at least is going to compete to play cornerback number 2. Hell, he might even compete for cornerback number 1 with this young secondary that they got. Pretty solid pick right here for the Raiders. And then right here at number 20 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, we got wide receiver Justin Jefferson out of LSU. A little bit of a sneaky need as wide receiver for this team. You probably wouldn't think that because of how good DJ Chark was last year as this team's deep threat. But Keelan Cole is a nice restricted free agent, but to me, he's like a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3 at best. D.D. Westbrook's a solid slot option. Marquise Lee, like, I think he could be solid, but he could also be a guy that gets cut in the preseason. He could be a shocking cut in the preseason. For this team. Justin Jefferson, yes, he played 97% of his slot snaps in the slot as a wide receiver, 3% on the outside. He can play on the outside, though. Like, yes, he was just more productive as a slot receiver. But even if you wanted to move D.D. Westbrook to the outside, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think what you're doing right here is helping out Gardner Minshew for now, or whoever they play at quarterback for now, until you get your future quarterback. And I think right here, Justin Jefferson would be a pretty good option in that short to intermediate game. As a receiver, he showed at the Combine he can run pretty fast. On tape, he's pretty fast as well. So, don't let that 40 time fool you. He still is a fast player. But Justin Jefferson right here, nice pick at wide receiver, and it's an underrated need for the Jaguars. More pass catchers for your quarterback. Get it down 11 spots with the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to have them go with offensive tackle Josh Jones out of Houston. To me, I don't think left tackle is the biggest need. Yes, you do need to improve it, but you just paid Jack Conklin to be your right tackle. Your interior is shaping up to be pretty good. Or at least pretty solid. Left tackle, it's like, yes, it's a need, but it's not like a holy grail type of need. And by trading back, I mean, you do collect, the 2 second-round picks, one this year, one next year. You also get a 4th-round pick next year. Or wait, let me see. What did I even have to trade again? Let's see. Yeah, you get 2 second-round picks. So, I mean, if you wanted to, you can address tackle later, but we'll have them do it here. Josh Jones, a pretty solid tackle prospect, just needs to be coached up. I think it could work in the Stefanski scheme. I just think he needs to be coached up on how to play in this scheme a little bit, and it could work for Cleveland. You got to have some hope for him. Pretty solid pick. I mean, they trade down 11 spots, and they still get an offensive tackle. I mean, you can't really knock them for it too much. And then at number 22 overall, we got the Dallas Cowboys right here. After trading down 5 spots with the Minnesota Vikings, you could look to add a safety. Obviously, center has become a big need as well because Travis Frederick retired. But I think it might be a little too early for Cesar Ruiz or Lloyd Cushenberry, in my opinion, at this spot. So we'll go ahead and give them cornerback Trayvon Diggs out of Alabama. It's funny, we traded with Minnesota, who obviously Stephon Diggs, who is like his brother or his cousin, used to play there. So yeah, it's kind of funny how things work. Diggs gets curved again by Minnesota, this time Trayvon Diggs. Because Cowboys are using the pick that was originally there, that was originally the Bills' pick, that was originally traded for Stephon Diggs. So it's just funny how things come in full circle right here. But for Trayvon Diggs, it's definitely a position of need because Byron Jones is no longer there. But check this out. Next year in free agency, Chidobe Awuzie, Jordan Lewis, HaHa Clinton Dix, Xavier Woods, all free agents, all defensive backs right there. So corner and safety is a big need for Dallas. I think it just comes down to which one do they value more, and I think that's going to be corner because at least they'll have HaHa Clinton Dix and Xavier Woods for now, but they need an outside corner badly, and I think Diggs could be that for this team. I think it just depends on how the board falls, but for me, I have it being Trayvon Diggs. And right here for the San Francisco 49ers, I have them going with offensive tackle Austin Jackson out of USC. He's not necessarily a player that will play right away unless you want him to play some guard early on in his career. But he's obviously a tackle. Obviously, like I just said, more of a left tackle. But really, for the 49ers, you're a really good team. You were just in the Super Bowl. By having you trade down, you're collecting more assets. But here's how I look at it. Joe Staley, Richard Sherman, all of these older veterans that you have on your team, they can't play forever. So you need to start really thinking about your future as well. That's how the really good constructed teams continue to build. They have the roster to compete now, but they don't just say F it and trade away all of their picks. They try to build for the future as well. And I think that's what the 49ers need to do. Take Austin Jackson, develop him in the scheme. We see offensive linemen get hurt all the time. I think Joe Staley missed like 8 games last year. And Austin Jackson, maybe he gets caught up on the system. You know, knock on wood for Joe Staley. Maybe he doesn't get hurt. And if he does, you have a nice young tackle that you just drafted at a position where guys get hurt all the time, and he can come in and play. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. You can groom him to be your future tackle. It's not a bad idea. I know you're probably screaming for Cesar Ruiz. Maybe you're screaming at the top of your lungs for a safety or a corner, or hell, just take a reach on another speedy wide receiver. No need to do that. You know, be savvy about this draft. Try to get as much draft capital as possible. Do what the Seahawks did last year, except don't reach on a third-round talent at the end of the first round. Like Seattle did with LJ Collier. But, you know, Seattle went into that draft with like 4 or 5 picks. They came out of it with like 11 or 12. That's what you need to do here. You don't have a second, third, or fourth round pick. You have a pretty late 5th round pick. You need to try to collect draft capital. And I think by drafting Austin Jackson, you're filling a need kind of for now, but not really, mainly for the future. And you're collecting a ton of draft picks from New England to continue to throw draft capital at cornerback, and wide receiver. Not a bad move here, in my opinion, San Francisco. And for the New Orleans Saints right here at pick 24 overall, I have linebacker Patrick Queen out of LSU. To me, this team needs another linebacker to play in their nickel packages. I think a nice duo of Demario Davis and Patrick Queen could work. They are going to rely on Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to play more strong safety after not bringing back Von Bell. But even the safety class in the 2nd and 3rd round, it's going to be pretty solid. You can wait till then if you want to get another safety. When it comes to corner, same thing. Sort of like you could take a corner right here, but I don't really think it's their biggest need. You could take a wide receiver, but they just got Emmanuel Sanders, and honestly, they could wait until the 4th round to get one. To me, linebacker, a sneaky need for this team. They only have one that I truly trust out there on all 3 downs, and that's Demario Davis. I think Patrick Queen has to be that second guy in your base nickel packages. I like the pick. Obviously, LSU guy. He's a hometown guy. I think it would be a perfect pick for the New Orleans Saints. And then for the Minnesota Vikings right here, we're going to go with safety Grant Delpit from LSU. Obviously, with rumors that Anthony Harris could be traded, let's just assume in a world he is, and then in a world where he isn't. If he does get traded, hopefully it's to the Redskins for Trent Williams and they swap a 3rd and 4th round pick. Because to me, that's the trade that needs to happen for both sides. Washington gets their starting safety next to Landon Collins. Kirk Cousins gets his old left tackle from Washington to protect his blind side in Minnesota. I mean, come on, that's like the perfect trade for both sides right now. But seriously, Grant Delpit and Harrison Smith, that is a badass duo. And Grant Delpit's main concern is like tackling. Dude, Mike Zimmer is one of the best coaches at developing the defensive backs in the NFL. That's not going to be an issue in my opinion. And you come away with a beast that fell at 25 into the lap of Mike Zimmer, who knows a thing or two about these safeties. Now, in a world where Anthony Harris sticks around and signs a long-term extension, you have a third safety who can play some nickel corner, play close to the line of scrimmage, can play single high if you need him to. Just a versatile chess piece as a DB. This team, everyone keeps assuming they're going to draft a corner in the first round, again, because that's kind of their thing. But you look last year, they drafted Mike Hughes in the first round, and he wasn't even a starter. He was a pitch reliever for Xavier Rhodes. He was not a starter. They started Trey Waynes, Xavier Rhodes, and Mackenzie Alexander. They don't start rookie DBs. They don't start rookie corners that often in Minnesota. Grant Delpit, I think there's an exception to the rule. He's a safety. And if they do keep Anthony Harris, he can do a little bit of everything. If not, he can come in, be this team's single high free safety. He can come in and play in the box if you need him to. You can switch up the assignments with him and Harrison Smith. I think it's a hell of a pick. That's an A-plus pick in my opinion if the Vikings do select Grant Delpit, especially at 25. I mean, they just steal him away from everyone. And finally, at 26th overall, for the Miami Dolphins at least, finally, we still got more picks to go. We're going to have them go with safety Xavier McKinney out of Alabama. Yes, they trade one Alabama safety, and they go draft another the year later. That's crazy. It would be much funnier if they did it with Pittsburgh's pick instead of Houston's, but it's whatever. Xavier McKinney, he can play free or strong safety. He'll probably come in and play strong safety right away. And that's not a bad thing. I think he can play either for sure. This team did cut Rashad Jones. I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. I can see him projecting as both a free and a strong safety. If he can be anything like we've seen some of these Alabama safeties like Minkah Fitzpatrick, if he can be Eddie Jackson for this team, if he can reach those heights to any of those players, look out, because the Dolphins secondary might be one of the better ones. You know, pretty soon, if he does end up being the playmaker that those two guys have been for their respective teams, with Byron Jones, with Xavier Howard, with Bobby McCain, who's a decent free safety, look out. You may have something cooking there in South Beach. And at number 27 overall, we have the Seattle Seahawks selecting defensive end Yetur Gross-Matos out of Penn State. I don't know what's going to happen with Jadeveon Clowney. I don't know if they're going to sign Everson Griffin or not. Practically, I don't care. I think you just get as much edge rush help as possible. You lost Quentin Jefferson. You lost Ziggy Ansah. You know, you're losing defensive line depth. And LJ Collier, I mean, to be honest, I'm sure he'll get his opportunities to shine, but we need to see more. Rasheem Green, more of a situational player. You can't really rely on him to be consistent. I mean, you need to get another rookie in here, get some competition. Just make the edge rush one of the strongest parts of your team. If you can bring back Jadeveon Clowney, great. If you don't, well, it justifies the pick. Everson Griffin, to me, just needs to sign that dotted line in Seattle because he is a perfect scheme fit with Pete Carroll and the company. Or Pete Carroll and company. I don't know why I said the company, but I like that pick for Seattle if it goes through. I mean, Yetur Gross-Matos, a plug-and-play, just fits the scheme pretty well. Solid pass rusher. Not bad. And at 28 overall, we're going to have the Baltimore Ravens going with Cesar Ruiz, center/guard out of Michigan. I think for this team, he will be playing right guard. He'll be filling in the shoes of the elite Marshall Yanda, who, of course, just retired recently after, 12, 13 years with the Ravens. He's had a great career. Marshall Yanda has been a rock at that right guard position. And this team, all of a sudden, underrated need is interior offensive line. They have the two tackles, Ronnie Stanley, who's going to need an extension pretty soon, and Orlando Brown, who they just stole in the third round. And I tried to tell people, man, y'all keep overreacting to this combine shit. Watch his damn tape. That was one of the most frustrating things I saw, was that man fall into the third round when I knew damn well he was still worth an early second round pick. I don't know, man. It just pisses me off to see players fall because they don't do well in the NFL Olympics, you know? It really pisses me off because the tape doesn't lie, people. And the Ravens, one of the smartest organizations in football, stole away a freaking Pro Bowl tackle just like that. It's annoying. But they're going to do the same thing here with Cesar Ruiz. They're not going to steal him away. I don't know if he'll be a Pro Bowler, but it's an underrated need now that Marshall Yanda has retired. You can argue wide receiver here, but again, with the depth in this class, I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. Plus, the top four guys are gone. So, again, don't see it really as that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think right here, you're filling in a need. I can't blame you for taking a slight reach on an interior offensive lineman. So, good pick right here for Baltimore, in my opinion. And then at number 29 overall, I have the Tennessee Titans. What the Okay, I have the Tennessee Titans taking cornerback Jeff Gladney out of TCU. This team also, cornerback is another underrated need. They have yet to re-sign Logan Ryan as of recording this. Malcolm Butler has 1 year left on his deal, and he could be a shocking preseason cut for all we know. And Adoree Jackson, his fifth-year option has not been picked up yet, so this cornerback position kind of a big question mark. Not necessarily heading into 2020, but heading into 2021, all three of their starters may not be there. So you need to start thinking about that position long and hard, and I think getting a nice corner like Jeff Gladney from TCU wouldn't be a bad idea. He's a guy that can come in and start right away. Maybe he sits for a little bit until like an injury happens or something along those lines. But to me, corner has become an underrated need for this team, and it's one that I would take kind of serious right here by drafting Jeff Gladney. And at number 30 overall, I have my Green Bay Packers selecting linebacker Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma. You know, I had this debate with myself, Kenneth Murray or Denzel Mims. And I eventually told myself, if Kenneth Murray and Denzel Mims are still on the board at pick 30, I'm going with Kenneth Murray. You know, I know wide receiver's a big need. I know they need to load up on the position. And to me, I mean, they can still go sign Taylor Gabriel. He's still on the free agent market. That's a solid receiving option that's just sitting out there for some weird reason, you know, which is kind of unknown at this moment. Like, he's still out there. He ain't gone nowhere as of recording this. But Kenneth Murray next to Christian Kirksey, I just think Kenneth Murray is a Mike Pettin linebacker. You can send him on different blitzes. He can play off the ball. Hell, he can rush the passer a little bit. But I just like him in our base nickel packages with Christian Kirksey. And I hate to say this about Christian Kirksey, it kind of knocks down the value of that free agency signing a bit. He does have an injury history. So it's not a bad idea to get a player who can not only play next to him, but full on replace him long term and if he were to get hurt. To me, it's just a smart investment right there to get Kenneth Murray. Yes, I know Packer fans badly want to draft either Willie Gay Jr., who I love out of Mississippi State, or Malik Harrison out of Ohio State. I know those are like the two guys that Green Bay Packer fans want, and Troy Dye out of Oregon, I guess. But, man, Kenneth Murray still hanging around here at 30. Got to make that pick, in my opinion. And with the 31st overall pick, we got ourselves another trade. I know 49er fans are going to love this because we keep doing trades with them. But we have the San Francisco 49ers trading down 3 spots with the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts will be trading away their second round pick, which will be the 34th overall pick. Basically another late first, essentially. They're only trading up 3 spots. We also have them giving up a 2024th round pick and a 2021 second round pick. So the 49ers gain a second round pick technically this year. They get an additional second round pick next year, and they add another 4th round pick. Now they have ammo to either use all those picks for selections or trade up in the 2nd and 3rd round. You see what I did there, San Francisco? I gave you more draft capital instead of just saying, okay, we're going to take 2 players and call it a day. No, you're going to use all your draft picks. You're going to think about the future of your team. You're going to stretch out this championship window if you really see yourselves as contenders moving forward. I'm trying to help you here. As a team that whooped my team's ass twice this year, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to do what's best for you. And also what is best for the Colts. Oh my gosh, English is hard. But we're also doing what's best for the Colts, and that's taking Jordan Love, quarterback out of Utah State. Man, I've been reading since like December that they like this guy. Pick him. Just trade up and pick him. And Colts fans are like, yeah, you know, we signed Phillip Rivers. Oh, we traded the 13th overall pick. This means we're not drafting a quarterback in the 1st round. Psych, you thought. Because you are. And it's going to be Jordan Love, the guy you have been key on, at least Chris Ballard, since the end of like 2019. And to me, it would just feel wrong if they did not make this selection. Think about it. Jacoby Brissett has 2 years left on his contract. Phillip Rivers signed a 1-year deal. What's your future looking like at quarterback? Exactly. And why would you trade up to get him when you can get him at 34? Why? Like, why? Why would you do that? Here's why. The 5th-year option. You get an extra year on his contract. So that way you have more time to actually assess to see if he is the future. If you draft him in the 2nd round, you get 4 years, which means once Jacoby Brissett's contract is done, you only have 2 years to see what this kid's made of. Instead of that, you draft him in the 1st round, you get 5 years on the contract. Once Jacoby Brissett's contract is up, you get 3 years to assess the kid. I'm trying to help both of these teams right here. If the Colts trade up, they get a quarterback, they get 5 years on that contract. If the 49ers trade down, they get more draft capital to build up this roster that is slowly starting to age low-key, with guys like Joe Staley and, Richard Sherman all playing at a high level, but they can't play forever at that elite level. And then I'll just record it all in one take. With the 32nd overall pick, we have A.J. Terrell, cornerback from Clemson. They did not bring back Kendall Fuller or Rashad Breeland, so cornerback becomes a need. And with the 32nd overall pick, we'll just give them one of the better cornerbacks remaining right here. And yeah, that's basically it for this 2020 mock draft 4.0, whatever this is. Yeah, 4.0 with trades. I'm going to be doing one more. It'll just be predict the pick, because I know people get pissed off about having their teams trade or whatever. But if you made it to the end of this mock, thank you very much. I really had fun doing these mocks, man. It's been getting views thanks to the YouTube algorithm. But seriously, I have fun doing these, and I'm glad that people like them and give me feedback and stuff. My latest mock draft was like my most viewed mock. Not only that, but my most viewed video, and I'm very happy for it. I appreciate it. And I just want to give you guys something to watch during quarantine. I know this shit's boring. We're going to make it through it. We're going to make it through all of this. And I'll be dropping one more mock draft. It'll just be predict the pick. That'll come closer to draft time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, man. Peace out, and good luck to your teams in the 2020 draft.